And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're live. Um,
Yes.
just,
Alive, alive, and kicking.
yes, it just kind of snuck up on us there. Yeah, talking about other stuff.
Yeah.
Irish SIM cards
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
my phone.
Traveling and SIM cards and roaming and stuff
Yeah,
like that. And
and
maybe we should ask AI about that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see what kind of answer it gives us, what it hallucinates. So yeah, so this is, I don't know, episode 5. We're away next week because Simo and I both have other commitments. I'm in Dublin at the Knowledge Summit Dublin. If you're watching this and you're going to be in Dublin for the Knowledge Summit, please come and find me. Make sure that we connect in person. It's always nice to connect in person. So please go ahead and do that. And Simo, why don't you tell everybody what you're doing next week?
I'm first time ever. I have a background in theater, but this is my first time ever. I'm directing a summer theater play. Summer theater is a big thing in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
Every summer, at least in our little town or city, there's like at least 3 summer theaters,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, so it's a big thing in Finland, and I have never directed a summer theater play before or acted in one, and this is my first one, and it's exciting. And the first night is the 3rd of July.
Ah,
So
okay. So
yeah,
next week you're
next week
finally,
is, yeah, it's gonna be exercises. We are going to be rehearsing every day
yeah,
to get the play ready.
good.
But it's gonna be really great. I'm so happy I agreed to do that, because it's been such a nostalgic uh, adventure, because it's like, even though my background is in theater and I'm originally trained as an actor, I
Mm,
have not been doing theater or acting or directing for years, because I'm doing like applied arts, applying art-based methods and improvisation to organizational development and
yeah,
training. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a nice thing.
good, good. Um, so the summer theater, is it outside then? If the theaters are outside, it's outdoors?
Yeah, it's hardcore because there's no roof, there's no protection from rain, so
Okay.
we are in a total mercy of Mother Nature. So if it's raining, it's gonna be
You're
it's
gonna
gonna be
get
hard, and if it's sunny, it's nice and hot. So I think partly cloudy weather would be perfect,
yeah,
but we don't know what we get.
you get what you get.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That'll be interesting. I hope that that goes well. I hope that you have good weather for that.
Yeah, yeah, me too, me too. And for the actors, I'm not acting in the play, which is I feel lucky, because then I won't have to stand the rain or the heat wave
Yeah.
in theater costume.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, so but it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I actually did some work thing today. I was saying to Stephanie that I only did some gardening and stuff like that today. But yeah, I did a work thing. I just forgot that, because I did it with AI, and it was so fast with AI.
That's nice. Yeah, AI can be helpful for sure.
Yeah, I had more time for gardening
Yeah,
because of AI. So
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I was saying to a friend on the weekend, she was a bit concerned. She thought that I thought somehow the AI was sentient, and I'm like, no, no. I know it's not sentient. There's no consciousness there. It's just mimicking. And I said, you know how I know that it's not human? Because I'll ask it a question, quite a complex question, and leave it running and go to bed. And 4 days later I'll come back and go, oh yeah, I was working on that. And go back, and and Claude's just he's happily just waiting there. And I said if it was a human, they would be bitchy and cranky that I'd asked them to do all this work, and then I didn't do anything with it for 4 days. We laugh.
Actually, I'm surprised that Claude has started to actually, well, not criticize or being cranky or bitchy, but to question some of my choices or thoughts, or like, are you sure you want to do this? Because it would, the consequences would be like this and this and this. If that's what you want, sure, but I would suggest that you would do this and this, because it seems like this would be preferred outcome for you. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, because it's like there's been so much talk that AI just confirms your whatever you do, just says that, wow, fantastic idea, but it
Yeah.
really doesn't.
Yeah, I have noticed a shift, at least with Claude. I don't use the other ones, but
Yeah, me
but
neither.
I have noticed a shift with Claude in how it responds.
Yeah.
So, and I've also gotten that I set up projects for themes of things. So it goes back and recalls, things that have been discussed days or weeks ago, where,
Yes.
which is, I would expect it to, but when I've set it up in this project, it's much better at doing that, rather than just
That's true. That's true.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. It is helpful. So
Yeah.
So
I'm taking a pause, just a small pause, because I have to answer a question to the construction worker that's here now. Just
sure.
give
Go
me 20
ahead.
seconds.
Go ahead. So maybe I'll say to all our viewers, feel free to, because I forgot at the beginning when we started, feel free to post your comments, your questions, thoughts in the comments, and Simo and I will respond to them as we go. So we like to make this a conversation and a dialogue amongst all of us. So feel free to do that. So good. So I was just reminding everybody to put their comments and questions in. So yeah. So before we got started, we were talking about, I saw this article yesterday in, I don't know, one of my social media feeds, and talking about that one of the tech CEOs, Jeff Bezos, had said that that people needed to stop drinking so much water, that the AI needed the water, and that we were holding back, that we were drinking too much water, that we were holding back AI and these great discoveries that could be done with AI, and because it didn't have the water that it needed. When I read it yesterday, I'm like, that sounds totally plausible. And
unfortunately, yes, it sounds, but now when I heard it the second time, I noticed that I think people are, if you talk about human consumption of water, I think drinking is not the highest. I think flushing toilets or taking baths.
Well, and industry actually uses a lot more water than people do. But yeah, I thought, well, we will talk about that this morning, and so I went and did some digging, because I wanted to find the original source, and it turns out the original source was satire. So it's not true. It's not something that he said. So if you've seen that meme going around, it's not true. It was published by a website that does satire, news that's satire. So it's not true. But this is the thing now. This is why I talk about critical thinking and curiosity, because there's too many things that seem like they could have been said. you
That's
know.
that's interesting. Yeah, critical thinking. We need that. We need to check the sources,
Yeah,
and there's also kind of a twisted side of that, because if we are paranoid or doubting the sources and the kind of the integrity of the sources, that might end up like not believing the kind of the national media, like the main media, because you are kind of like too critical about the,
yeah,
or imagining stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that was one of the things in the Snopes write up that I found about this alleged quote. Um, what I talked about, there were no reports in mainstream media,
Mm.
you know, and yeah, okay, but I'm not convinced that mainstream media always does a good job in reporting things and being unbiased.
Mm.
I know. So yeah, I don't want to sound like a crazy conspiracy person,
Mm.
but it's good to take that stuff with a grain of salt too. So and find multiple sources, you know, and see, kind of triangulate, and see what makes sense. But yeah, I yeah, there's too many things that mainstream media have screwed up because they have their biases too, you know, and look at what's
Yeah,
happened.
that's well, and if the mainstream media used to be kind of the reliable, neutral source of information, and that's even we are, even though I would think that we are kind of like mainstream people, like not the on the outer
Yeah,
outskirts of society. So what's reliable now? I mean, what is there reliable sources of information anymore?
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think there are, but you know, then you look at
I do too.
what's
Mm.
happened with some of the media, especially some of the American media, that's gotten, you know, influenced by the politics. So, which is why I liked, some of the European media when I was living in Berlin, and still go to some of those to get their angle on it. Some of the European and the German,
Yeah.
mainstream media, DW, or yeah, DW, and
Mm.
those. So, just for another perspective, because there is I think there is bias in the media. There shouldn't be, um, but there is, and increasingly so with social media and the threat of being doxxed or being, you know, piled on in some kind of social media
Mm.
bit. So, yeah, people get very concerned. Even organizations get very concerned about that,
Mm.
about those things. So, it doesn't always encourage the right decision making processes. You know, because people are worried about other things than doing what's right. So,
So even though we talk about critical thinking and we know what it means to check the sources, and not being blue-eyed, as we say in Finland, like not be too trusting about like information. It seems also that everyone is kind of creating their own truths,
oh, yeah, for sure.
like more or less.
Yeah.
And maybe it should be like that, and it has been, it has been like that before, even before, but more and more so.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It takes a lot of time and effort to dig into everything that you're hearing, and you do
Yeah.
want to be able to believe your trusted sources, the mainstream media. You want to trust those,
Yes.
and I get that too. Well, and this example with this quote from yesterday, like on the face of it, yesterday I took it as okay. That seems reasonable, plausible.
Mm.
I believe that. It wasn't until this morning, almost 24 hours later, that I dug into it because I wanted to find the original source, that I found that it wasn't true, that it had come originally from a satire website, So, and I know some of the satire websites, so when I see them quoted, I at least know that that's where it's come from. But in this case with this meme, there wasn't any attribution to it, so I had no idea. So where it had come from. So yeah, like I say, it takes a lot of effort and time to dig into.
I'm actually uh, like having this idea that I would, next time I face something like that, kind of like I'm doubting the truthfulness of something I see. I will try to use Claude to actually to assist me to find the sources. Or so if we have been talking like earlier on, like that the AI is not trusted source of information because it hallucinates. And if I understand correctly, that's being kind of it doesn't, the AIs, at least the paid versions, they do not hallucinate as much as before. They have been, they are more developed right now.
Yeah,
Maybe they could, in the end, at some point, help us to be critical thinkers.
they will go out and find the source. I've done that with stuff
Hmm.
when it comes back and gives me something that I look at and think,
Yeah.
really. I've asked it to find the source, and sometimes it does find me the source, and sometimes it comes back and says, "Oops, no, I made that up." And I think that's what's interesting about Google. Although I'm not totally in love with what they're doing with their AI, but and the search, but they do reference the web page, so you can go to the web page where it's taken this from. So,
which is kind of scientific writing is mentioning the sources. Maybe we go back to that. Maybe, I mean, or start to we have to be more accurate or scientific, like mention the sources in many other places than only doing the science actually.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, and you have to be careful with the science too. I think about the tobacco studies in the mid last century,
Well, that's science. I mean, it's the best knowledge available at that time.
Yeah, but
And then there's the future research is sometimes contradicting earlier findings, and
sure. But in some cases, scientists are paid off to.
well, that has happened with oil industry and
Yeah.
tobacco industries and lots
And
of other places. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm all for science, but let's not take that blindly either. So,
No, yeah, that's
but
true. And actually, true scientists, my wife is one, are very critical about, like, if somebody mentions a research that, researchers show this and that, they are checking where is there only one research,
yeah.
or is it, and what's the, they are really, really critical about the, before they are actually, taking it for granted that this
Yeah.
is actually a scientific result.
Yeah. 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 What methodology was used? How was it
Yeah,
executed? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. Yeah. And that's critical thinking, right?
yeah,
So,
it is.
um, yeah, this is this is the thing. So, um, and I want to come back to what you were talking about before about you hadn't done any work today. Well, except for a little tiny bit, um, and something else we were talking about um, before we got started, because I was talking about the retreat I did a couple of weeks ago, and then how much energy it takes to always be looking into things and thinking critically and questioning and things, and coming back to our theme around thriving and needing to take the break from being on a device, whether it's a laptop or a phone or an iPad or whatever, and taking that break to recharge and re-energize and put some space in our lives so that we're not just sitting here typing away, or where's my phone? Just scrolling away, on the phone constantly and doom scrolling. It's important to get out in the garden or get into the studio or go out in nature and go for a walk, and re-energize and recharge the batteries, so that you can think critically and ask those questions and be curious. Yeah, that's one of the. So yeah, I like that you're doing the theory, not the theory, the theater this summer,
Mm.
And spending a little less time on a laptop and getting out and interacting with people and not worrying about AI,
Mm.
in the context of the theater. So,
Well, at least live theater seems to be safe from AI, at least for now.
yeah, yeah,
Well, no. Well, there's been like those robots performing with dance groups, and in China, like, there's
yeah,
lots of things happening, it seems, but it's still, it's still only the beginning of. Mm.
yeah. I don't know that I want to see robots dancing. Like, I don't
I
know that
think
I would pay.
only videos about that, not live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's one thing to see an ad or something, some YouTube video for that, but I don't know that I would. Like, I'm happy to. Well, I'm not a big ballet fan, but would be happy to pay to go to the theater to see ballet or see opera or something like that. But I don't know that I would pay to see robots do that.
That's a good point. Yeah, me neither, because that's kind of like, that's like factory stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. When I think of even the AI generated ads I see on TV, you can certainly tell that they're AI generated, and it's like, what could, like, I get that it's probably cheaper, which is why they do it, but it just seems, I mean, ads are contrived anyway, but yeah, it just takes it to a whole other level. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's
But
just me.
I would like to, explore that more. Like, what do we want to see? What do we want to experience? I think it's the same with literature. It's like, I would be not interested in reading novels written by AI if I would know that
Yeah,
this is kind of a production of an AI. No, sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah. Well, and that's one of my posts. My post from last Friday on LinkedIn. Even somebody commented that it was nice to read something, with a bit more depth and complexity to it than some of the AI fluff that they have been experiencing in their LinkedIn feed. I know, which I thought was interesting, because all too often you can tell when something has been written by AI. So, and I was reading again about how the AI models collapse when it's ingesting input from AI models.
Mm.
How they have not solved that problem, that the models still collapse. So it's increasingly important that we do write stuff ourselves, and yet I use it to write stuff. I do go in and edit it and make changes to it
Hmm.
too, but I know that I use it for stuff, so because it makes it easier.
Yeah,
So
you
uh,
have you don't have to suffer from a kind of the empty page syndrome anymore,
yeah.
or kind of what do you call that actually? I'm not the native speak.
Oh,
If in the Finnish it would be like the
yeah, blank
kind of
page.
like anxiety of the
Yeah,
white page or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah, blank page.
But that's, you don't have to suffer from that anymore, because you can always make the first draft with AI,
Yeah,
and then you have something to start with.
yeah,
And that's really cool. And if we are talking about thriving, not only surviving, that's exactly what AI could, you know, help us with, and many other things too. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it always concerns me when I use it for things, because I don't remember it as well as if I created it myself. Um, stuff that I create myself, because I've taken the time to do the research and put the sentences together
Yeah.
myself. I remember it, much better. Now, that said, I did write this book myself and have no idea anymore what what it says. But
Ain't that interesting? Because
it,
I have written a couple of books too, and after years, when I go back and read that, I, I was like, who has written this? I mean, this is fascinating. This is real good. Like, and that's kind of scary, because it's like, doesn't that kind of imply that you have kind of degenerated? Because if you think that something you wrote 10 years ago is brilliant, that's kind of scary.
well, see, and I looked at that. It's been a while since I actually opened it up and read it, but at one point I did in the last couple of years. I went and looked at it, and I'm like, there's so much stuff that I would add to it now.
Yeah, well, I think I have like both these experiences with different texts. Some
Yeah,
of the texts are like, this is brilliant. I would, not change. Well, it's never like you wouldn't change anything. But also I have written this one book that I'm about power and status behavior.
mm,
And I've been doing so much research and work after writing that book, that kind of the basic concepts have changed. And it's kind of like terrible to read that old book, because it's like, oh my God, this is not accurate. This is not valid. This is bull. It's not working. No, no. Yeah.
oh no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so when I use AI to write stuff or create that first draft, it's like I don't remember it as well as if I had written it myself in the first place. Um, so which bothers me. Um, but yeah, on the other hand, there's too much stuff going on, and I know how long it would take me to write, and this is part of the thing. I have people asking me for a Radical KM book, and I have a publisher. At least I think
Yeah.
I still have a publisher, and
At
I
least
just
you used to have.
I used to have a publisher, and yeah, but I don't want to use AI for
Mm,
to put the book together. So I know how much time I need to take and really think about,
yeah.
because Radical KM now is 15 years old from when I started the very first sort of. I'm going to include painting in and art in knowledge management. That was in 2011, so it's been 15 years of development, and certainly my thinking has changed and evolved over
Yeah.
that. And I have written a lot of articles and blog posts and LinkedIn posts and things about it. So, on one hand, it would be the ideal thing is to go collect all of those things up and hand it over to AI and go, here, make a book. But I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to manually do that
Yeah.
because I want it
Yeah.
to be my work. I don't want people to look at it and go, oh, she used AI to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Just another pause. I have to.
oh. Yeah, go ahead. Well, and I'll take this as another opportunity to remind you, put your comments. I know we have people watching, so nobody's just contributing this week for whatever reason, which is fine. If you want to listen to Simo and I meander our way around the issue of how to thrive as a human in an AI world, and the importance of taking a break and stepping away, and critical thinking and creativity and resilience, and all of those kinds of things. But we do like it when you share your thoughts and comments with us and join the conversation. So next week, I will say we're both away. I'm in Dublin at the conference. I might have already said that, and Simo's doing his final days before the opening of the play that he's directing. So we'll be away, but then we'll be back in 2 weeks. So, and pick up where we left off, which seems to be what we often do, or pick up with what's relevant at the time in the big thing in how to thrive in an AI world. And I think the big thing is to be conscious of it and to step away from it and to not get caught up in the hype of the fear of missing out, and I think that this is one of the things Simo and I were talking about before we went live, was there is pushback from people. I talk to people all the time that have concerns. In fact, the panel that I'm on at the Knowledge Summit Dublin, we're all in agreement, which is the panel interesting, that AI is not necessarily a good thing. So I've seen certainly pushback from people and individuals. I read stuff that's pushback, and yet our organizations seem hell-bent on implementing it for this fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, I think as individuals, there's this pushback against fear of missing out and setting a boundary and not getting caught up in the hype. But I'm not, unfortunately, seeing that at an organizational level. There still is this fear of not wanting to be left behind. But that's not a good way to make decisions.
Well, yeah. And I don't know, because it's like, I had this presentation of a new company with 2 other people. We were 3 on stage, and we were talking about the kind of the continuous learning and renewal capabilities of organizations, and how action and art-based methods could help with that. And we had to kind of like write down a script, because we were 3 persons on stage and we were taking turns in, taking the story forward. We had like 90 minutes time, and I used AI for finishing my speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I had this 20 minutes of my own time where I did some experiential exercises, and then that was like that. I didn't need AI for that.
Right.
But kind of the starting and the finishing speeches, like emceeing in a sense. And I found it really troublesome using AI with that, because if I would write kind of the speeches, think them, write them, then I would kind of like, I wouldn't need a card to actually to present that. But when I used AI, it's not, the sentences are not thoroughly processed here.
Yeah.
So I had to, more than before, go back to the cards and kind of like check that if I'm doing the right thing on the right. And that's kind of scary, because it's like, if you think of an organization where people are doing lots of stuff fast with AI, they are kind of, they could begin to be detached about the flow of information and what's actually happening and what does it mean. And they are just kind of like, in a worst scenario, they become assistants of AI.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's like the people might lose the track of what's actually happening there.
Yeah.
In the worst scenario.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely agree. I agree. So, and I've had that experience too, where I've used AI for something and then can't remember what it was, what,
because it does so smoothly crafted sentences that sometimes don't mean anything actually. They are signifying zero. They carry zero significance. And you have to be very careful with that. Like, and it's really hard to actually to proofread AI text. Kind of like, what's, it seems to be okay, but actually when I think about that, it's bull. It's or it's not accurate. It's
Well, and I've heard the other day, and I did hear this from a reliable source, a mainstream media source, about a court case in the US that both lawyers had used AI and had cited cases that didn't exist. And so the court, the judge, dismissed the case, or canceled, I forget what the right terminology is, but like censured the lawyers and threw out the case because, and so I don't know, I didn't finish reading the article, to be honest, but I don't know whether they have a chance to fix it and come back, or whether that's it. So but yeah, you would think with something like that, that's critical, like, lawyers being paid lots of money, and things that are important. I think this was a civil case rather than a criminal case, but this still is important. And you can't, that they didn't go and check that these cases that the AI cited actually were legitimate cases, and that both sides had done it.
So Well, soon we are going to have like AI judges or AI juries, and well, but part of the jury might be AI. So
Yeah, maybe,
I
but
don't know.
yeah, I hope not. Um,
Well, it seems to be. Well, I would, yeah. If I imagine myself being in a court and being judged by AI, even
yeah,
partly, I would be horrified.
yeah, yeah. I want humans for that stuff, uh,
Yeah,
for judgments and yeah, and critical thinking. And, that's it. Understand humans understand context, um, in a way that AI doesn't. So, and I'm just looking at
but
the
also if you think of like what's the role of human in an the kind of the new identity and role of us humans in organizations, I'm still going back to, for example, like embodied knowledge and something like that, because it's like it seems like it's very different. For example, understanding cognitively something about like what's happening here in interaction than actually kind of playing, stepping into a role and being in that or doing an exercise.
yeah,
And only after kind of like stepping into that situation and experiencing it, you are actually understanding deeply that's what's happening there. But if you just read the description of an exercise, you don't actually get that revelation, you don't get that epiphany.
no, you have to have the experience, and it's the same with the stuff that I do too. The
Yeah,
arts based stuff, the
yeah.
painting and
And
things.
I think there's something there, and that's why I think your radical knowledge management is more, there's more and more value
Yeah, yeah.
in that all the time.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think so. More and more necessary. So
Yeah.
we'll see how the future unfolds. So I'm just looking at the time.
Because those forms of information and data, embodied and also emotional,
Yeah,
experiential, they might be the only things that remain only in our possession as human beings after
yeah, yeah. Maybe. Yeah. The way things are going, I think you might be right. So I think, uh, yeah, the things that make us human,
flesh and blood,
flesh and blood.
feelings, emotions, sentiments,
Yeah,
hunches,
yeah,
intuition,
yeah,
gut feelings,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
embodied things that we actually because sometimes we only know something when we actually physically do something or experience something. There's
yeah,
something hitting us, then we know, oh, that hurts.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I've said to people, you can't learn to swim from reading a book, or you can't learn to
Or
ride
ride a
a bicycle
bicycle.
from reading a book. And you don't have to understand the physics of those things to be able to do them. Because
Yeah,
we didn't figure out the physics behind a bicycle for almost 200 years, but it didn't stop anybody riding a bicycle. And we
yeah.
teach kids how to swim. you know they don't need to understand the physics of that. You can still swim without understanding the science. So yeah, those embodied
Yeah, I
experience.
certainly hope that current and future organizations are, you know, talking about this, and not only talking about this, but also, trying to actually think of information in a broader sense than
Yeah,
before.
yeah. I hope, yeah, doing it, experiencing it, um, it's not just looking at it in a book. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
And our time seems to be up.
it does for another week. So
In
thank you,
2 weeks,
everyone.
yeah. In 2 weeks, we are
Yeah,
returning.
we'll
Next,
return in 2 weeks,
yeah.
and thank you everyone for coming and listening. I know that you're out there, even if you didn't put a comment in. And yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good time until then. And yeah, don't let the AI drink too much water.